There's no goal. There's no net.
Okay, this is a little tricky. Snapshot, upper left.
He's better than I thought, but I'll try whatever you say. All right.
Damn it! That was way outside. Where's the ref? Where's the ref? That was way outside.
Welcome back to Rational Funk. Today we're going to approach a topic that is very dear to my heart, Joe's heart. It's for all of you out there who find the puzzle of drumming irresistible, and you just want to get in there and deal with whatever possibility you can imagine. You try to deal with it technically. It doesn't matter if it's ever usable. I remember reading this Modern Drummer article when I was a kid. It was an article that had it was talking to Joe Morello, the great drummer for the Dave Brubeck quartet in the 60s and 70s, great educator. I would be lying if I said I know a lot about Joe Morello's playing other than like the famous Take 5 thing, or knew a lot about his ethos and theories. He wasn't someone that I followed, just not because he isn't fantastic. It was just not really my scene. But I was reading an article that someone did on him. You know, it was probably in his later years. You know, at this point, probably in the late 80s. I know that he lived quite a bit longer than that, and it was talking about some independent stuff. And this word keeps coming up, and all drummers talk about these. Well, independence. You got to work on your independence. We dealt with it before, but we dealt with independence and then being distracted while we were doing it, right, Joe? Where I would sit there and be playing something that I thought was a difficult independence exercise, and you'd be dancing around me and trying to distract me, or asking me to name state capitals. It was just different ways of accessing parts of your brain, right? We were doing experiments. We were experimenting, and Joe Morello was, I guess, during this interview, he was like showing him, like, you could do this and this and this, and the writer was going, I can't imagine a scenario where you would apply these types of things. He was doing some pattern here, and then he goes, on your foot you could blah, 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 blah. Who knows how much he had worked it out, or if he was actually improvising, but the writer was very astounded. He was like, wow, this is really insane independence. And of course, we know that even since then, people have dealt with these different situations where they've got one thing. To me, it sounds like something where you have a pattern going with your feet, or your hands are doing, one hand is doing another thing while the other three limbs are doing something else, or something where it becomes a thing where you'd have to logically lock it in for a part of the song, or just say, now I'm gonna bust this thing out now during this tune, during this whatever, check this out, where every limb is gonna be doing this thing. And the guy even said, he goes, I'm not sure how useful any of this type. And I was really intrigued by that. I thought to myself, yeah, well, the pursuit of useless independence, I would assume, is something that a lot of people have dealt with. I myself have dealt with it, where you're like, when am I ever really going to use this? Well, maybe during some improvisational setting, I might use something where I cross body, unison-y things, or this pattern is doing this. Of course, everybody deals with doing like jazz ride patterns, and then they're playing all this stuff against it, and how far you can push that Elvin Jones into Jeff Watts kind of triplet language against a ride beat that you keep setting. A lot of times my criticism of that is that your ride beat doesn't sound 100% unique or swinging or something, where it just becomes, it's a part of a configuration instead of this beautiful orb of personality, but instead it becomes another component within a structure of a independence exercise. But hey, I'm right there with trying to figure out something really incredibly cool, sort of, maybe not cool to me or something, and that is ultimately fairly useless. And we call this segment Useless Independence. I mean, let's face it. There's some incredible masters of the drum set that can sit there at a drum clinic and be like, check it out. And then during their music or during a song, they're never called to do something like this. You know, Joe? My famous one that I break out isn't even that big of a deal. But it's kind of a fun one where you get to go, check this Useless Independence riff, right? Playing a swing ride beat. Just a offbeat triplet. Right? Right, Joe? So, simple. That's classic. But check it out, Joe. Check it out, buddy. A beat appears during there. I turn that thing. Let's do that again. I gotta come back out of it, Joe. I gotta come back out of it. That's the whole point. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Motherfucker. I can do this, man. I've been playing this shit. I go to Guitar Center sometimes and I just sit down and do this. People go, holy shit. Because that's the only place I can really apply it. If you busted that shit out during a tune, you'd probably sound like some fucking egomaniac who's just doing whatever. Because, I mean, what is that? The bass player's going, what the fuck is going on over there? Either that or it's an early 80s Wynton Marsalis tune, which is actually the highest level you could do something like that, where they're like, there I came out of it. Did you hear that, Joe? It's not as useless as I thought. On funky Cold Medina. Funky Cold Medina. Which, as you don't know, it contains a sample. It sounds like Jamie's Crying, the Van Halen tune. You know that, Joe? Early hip hop, when they're using samples like at really cultural references of some sort from sampling. Baby, pills, pills. Whoa, James. Whoa, Jamie's crying. Oh, that's so hard, buddy. Hear the swing rise? Oh. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba